Welcome to my channel and welcome to my video. This video right here is going to be about my dream amp. The amp I've always wanted for years and now I have it. It is a vintage 1960s Fender Princeton Reverb with the drip edge, the gorgeous drip edge. It's a 1967 Fender Princeton Reverb right here. Let me show you this gorgeous amp. Super great sounding. And it just is a looker, honestly. This is my dream amp. This right here is my dream amp. And I will be showing you the sounds of this amp. Now, before I go ahead and give you the sounds, some of you are saying, what are you doing talking in a video like this? Just get straight to the sounds. Well, this is an amp that has history and I would like to talk about that history. If you could just spare me a couple of minutes to talk about the history of this amp, please, it would not hurt to just listen about this amp. And then you get to hear the sounds. You'll get to hear it all in its glory. So you get things in life when you're a little patient. So let me tell you right now. So this amp does have everything stock, except for a couple of things. So maybe that was a little dumb to say. The power tubes are JJ's. The reverb tank is not the original reverb tank, although I do own the original reverb tank that came with this amp. It's just unfortunate that the output transducer busted. But everything looks fine, except for just the output transducer. It busted, so I took it to a tech. And he looked at the reverb tank, and unfortunately he says, no, this cannot be saved. Here is a modern day Accutronics to the spec of your Princeton, and that will have to do. I also, at the moment, got a Mojotone reverb tank because I wanted to compare it to the Accutronics because I knew he was gonna get me one. I just knew he wasn't gonna be able to fix this, unfortunately. He's a great tech though. If you live in the Houston area, Tube Works, I believe, is the name of what he does, you know, his company. Great amp tech. I recommend him if you live in Houston. Anyways, so this tank, unfortunately, is useless. I can't use it. But hopefully one day I'll get my hands on a vintage period accurate one that I could use for this amp. The other thing I wanted to talk about, you'll see some glamour shots here, I'm going to put on the screen, is that this amp has the Jensen C10 and vintage 10-inch speaker, which is actually very sought after, apparently very, very popular, and with reason. If you've ever played the modern reissue of that Jensen speaker, the 10-inch or the 12-inch, it's a very harsh sounding speaker, and this vintage one does not even, like, it's so good that the modern one really doesn't compare. It just doesn't come close. Maybe it needs to break in. Maybe it needs 50 something years to break in and it'll sound like it, but I don't have that time. So thankfully this amp came with that speaker and I get to hear it. Great speaker. But with that being said, I'm not gonna crank the amp. And I know some of you are already gonna be like, I'm not watching this video anymore. I came here to hear a cranked Princeton. Well, let me tell you something. Not all of us like to play amps cranked, although it is a glorious experience to crank an amp. I love my Princeton clean because it does the clean so good. Really, really, really good. And I also live in an apartment, so I cannot crank it. And I don't own an attenuator, but I'm just so excited to show you guys at least the clean sound. So it's not overly loud, especially if you put it at 4 and 4.5. I think I can get away with that without getting the cops called or anything like that. So you'll hear it at that volume, which I think at 4, 4.5, you get like a pushed clean sound, right? It has some muscle to it. It's not a dead, dry, clean sound. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and play this amp for you. You're gonna hear it with my Fender Stratocaster, and I'll probably throw in my Epiphone Casino in the mix and you'll get to hear it. Some variety, you'll hear the reverb, you'll hear the tremolo, you'll just hear this glorious amp. I'm so happy to have my dream amp, and for all of you who are watching, I hope one day you come across your dream amp, and I hope that you're able to own it. And if you're like me, hopefully you're not like me, the journey was long. I had to go from the 68 Custom to the 65 reissue to the Tone Master, which is a great amp, and maybe you've already seen the video on the Tone Master, but now I have this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it for you and let's hear how it sounds. Thank you for watching my video. So there's one thing I wanted to do in this little last section of my video is I know some of you are going to ask a couple of questions regarding this amp, or maybe you have questions after watching this video, is how does it compare to a Princeton Reverb reissue, which is, you know, the reissue is supposed to be based off the vintage amps. Well, I have to say, off of memory, because I haven't really haven't owned a Princeton Reverb reissue in maybe about 2 to 3 years. It actually is not that far off, surprisingly. I think the biggest difference, if you own a Princeton Reverb reissue and you want to get it closer to vintage or vintage sounding, is change that speaker. Change that Jensen modern day speaker. I don't think it's very good for the amp. I don't think it makes it sound its best. I think with a different speaker, it could sound so much better. Some of you may like that Jensen speaker. I've heard a lot of people saying after it breaks in, it sounds really good. And I mean, it's not a bad sounding speaker, but I think it could sound so much better. That's just my opinion. And some of you may ask, what would be a speaker that could be that speaker? And I have one that I can recommend to you, and that is the Eminence Alessandro GA10SC64. I think I'm saying that correctly. It's a 10-inch Eminence Alessandro speaker. It sounds very close to the Jensen, the vintage Jensen. I'm not sure if I don't think it sounds exactly the same, but it sounds very close. So that would be my recommendation. I'm not sure if you guys have any other questions, but I know those are probably going to be asked. I don't own an overdrive pedal, so that's probably why you didn't hear any overdrive sounds in this video. I apologize, but I'm currently going through a whole rehaul with which pedals I own, so maybe when I own another overdrive pedal, I can do a redo or just do a little snippet, maybe a short YouTube short or something. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoy making these videos. These videos are really cool. It's like, I don't know, it's just cool to talk about gear sometimes. I'm a big nerd. I love talking about this stuff. So I hope you really enjoyed it. If you really enjoyed the content, consider subscribing because it really helps. It lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content. So yeah, thank you for watching. And if you are gonna continue watching my videos, I'll see you in the next one.